We about to open up a whole can of primatology discussion. So sit your candy ass down, because it's monkey time, bitch. Gorilla Radio. Turn that shit to a reasonable volume so as to be considerate of others.
Monkeys go directly to hell. What's popping off? Gorilla Radio Show episode 51, baby.
Let's go!
That's one after 50.
Hey,
we've
means
done
one
quite
more.
a bit.
I mean,
What?
we already did our 2-year anniversary. Never mind. That happened in October. Yeah.
That means
Yeah.
in one more episode, folks, you could listen to us once a week for an entire year.
Oh shit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about it like that.
Don't. If you listen to us too much, you'll be mentally
You
ill.
can already do that if you're in the Patreon, where we release
That's
basically
true.
4 episodes a month. If you include all of the extra content we're putting out for
That's
you.
true.
We're putting out
That's
a lot of
true.
extra content. You guys should join our Patreon.
We're
We got
making
Monkey
Also-
Movie Mania
content.
happening every month now.
I heard that Nat from our Discord, we all know Nat.
We all know that.
Apparently listens
Big fans.
to episodes sped up because they don't like listening to podcasts on normal speed because it's frustrating to not get the information faster, and have listened to like a lot of our episodes multiple times apparently, which is very, very fun. All of you should be doing
That's
that. All of
very
you need
ADHD coded.
all
by
of
the
you
way,
need
man.
to be that dedicated.
We
We
need
need
to get
all
our
of you.
numbers up.
I need you to be doing that shit that like Justin Bieber was having his fans do, where they'd like loop his songs on Spotify while they were asleep.
But yeah, if you are not in the Patreon yet, patreon.com/Gorilla Radio Show. You know that we put out a bonus episode every month. We put out a blooper reel every month. We've been putting out Monkey Movie Mania, pretty consistently for the past like 6 or so months.
Yeah, guys,
We've been
Monkey
going-
Movie Mania.
Well, we've
Tune
only
in
done
to watch
4.
a movie with the gang and then listen to a podcast episode where these two definitely watched the film and I am skimming the Spark Notes for it.
We love the line
Okay.
of Greg on those episodes.
So, what we're going to be talking about today is I'll give you a little backstory as to how I stumbled across this little oddity. Did you guys hear Pickles?
Yeah.
What is
Pickles
wrong
dog?
with him?
That's Pickles.
What is
He's like
wrong with
outside
him?
the
Screaming and
room.
crying for
He's
liberation.
Is that
outside
a
the-
Machine Girl poster?
Yeah. What about it?
Any day, you can just tell us.
So I'm doing a project for my master's program. It's unrelated to my thesis, but here's Pickles, by the way. It's unrelated to my thesis, but I have to do it for a class. I'm basically doing like an ethnography of
Uh-oh.
like campus administration. No, ethnography is it's
Uh-oh.
fine. It's not. It has nothing to do with ethnicity
Uh-oh.
necessarily. So
Yeah, I'm doing an ethnography of the cranium sizes of people in my class.
no, I'm doing it on the administrators at my university who are in charge of like research, what's the word I'm looking for? Not, I guess,
This one's
research
called
administration.
Dragon Melon.
Those fruity ass little vapes away.
This one's
Pick-
called
okay.
Vicky.
I'd like everyone to know
called
that
Vicky.
Pickles.
Vicky?
Look at-
Vicky.
Can you
What
guys?
flavor is Vicky? That's his asshole.
That flavor.
Pickles has
Oh.
been showing you all his asshole for like a minute straight, and you just now noticed.
Well, we're talking about our gay little vapes, gay little boy.
You.
So-
Okay, listen. Sorry to derail the podcast for a moment
Okay,
here.
yeah.
I
already
find
derailing.
it grotesque and abhorrent that disposable vapes now have little LED screens to give you information about your vape.
What
What
waste?
What the fuck
How
are we
wasteful.
doing? What the
It's
fuck
very
are we
wasteful, but boy, do I totally we stand, okay? We
Yeah.
stand the child dying in a cobalt mine to get the rare earth elements required to make an LED screen inside my $30 disposable vape.
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw it away in like a week.
doing? Literally.
Look, for every vape built and sold, that's one less missile in the nuclear arsenal. All right, they need those rare
It's
earth
true.
elements too.
It's true. They can't make missiles and bombs if we're putting them all in stupid little LED screens.
Yeah, we can do the NAFO propaganda where they're like, we them boys, we good boys, and every Russian missile is made of a dishwasher. Shit like that.
I don't. You're too.
We're
You're
big
too
Z
tapped
guys
in.
on this pod.
You're
everyone.
too.
I
You're too
can't
tapped
connect any
into
of
the
these fucking
Ukrainian
threads.
war.
Avdika
I can't
has
tap into
fallen,
any of this
everyone.
shit.
You're too tapped into the Ukrainian war. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I'm so tapped in that you know.
I don't know.
I don't know. You're
I
just.
don't know anything going on in Ukraine.
So
I know that they're doing trench warfare and that nothing's happening.
Based
nothing
in
ever
trench
happens.
Build. I'm based in trench build, guys.
So hopefully everyone can hear Pickles purring at home. But
Give him a
I'm
little
doing.
kiss.
I'm doing an ethnography of campus administrators who deal with research regulation, especially as it regards animals.
Right.
And so part of that is just interviewing these administrators. And I interviewed one of the IACUC, like compliance specialists, basically. And she started telling me about like how, she used to be a primatologist when she was in grad school and she loved it. She went to, I don't know if it was the University of San Antonio, but it was one of the University of Texas schools. And she got to study at a field site in South Texas with Japanese macaques, who were allowed to free roam, just range around South Texas, and just came back for food. And immediately I was like, what? What do you mean? That doesn't exist. I would have heard about this.
Uh-huh.
Turns out I have heard about it, but not in the way that I thought. So she described it as, I think it was called Arashiyama West primate sanctuary. It wasn't really a sanctuary at the time. It was just some place that they had primates.
Yeah. Austin found this article called "My Search for the Snow Monkeys of South Texas" by Sarah Bird, talking about this. The bird is tracking down these monkeys again.
And she had a very
crux of this
similar
article.
experience to the lady I interviewed. So I'm assuming they were colleagues at some point.
I got a question.
It's cool.
Here.
Yeah.
It's not mentioned in the article. I just want your opinion.
Uh-huh.
There's snow monkeys, the snow macaques, right?
Yeah.
They're used to living at high altitude in
Yeah.
a pretty cold environment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How the fuck are they dealing with Texas?
What an
Not-
interesting question, Greg. What a great question.
I guess we'll find out, Greg.
I think we'll find out.
I think we're going to find out.
Actually, does this article even talk about why
doesn't
they
talk
acclimated
about
so
it.
well?
Actually,
it
no,
doesn't
I don't
really.
know. Actually,
Yeah, 'cause that-
yeah, no, I don't know. They actually handled
That's
it
why
pretty
I
well.
said we don't talk about it in the article. I want your opinion, you fuckwit.
Well, no, I don't know, okay, here's the thing about monkeys. Monkeys can adapt to, like, anywhere, basically. Like, they're really good at that shit. Macaques are in, like, every fucking corner of the globe except North America. And even then,
South
Mexico
America.
has, well, yeah.
There's no
No.
macaques in the New World.
Okay, sorry. Monkeys are in every corner of the world. Macaques are still just in Asia and shit, but
I feel like we talked about this once, but didn't we have monkeys at one point?
yeah, we had monkeys at one point, but
Like there
not
were
anymore.
monkeys here.
Yeah, well, primates, yeah. So, basically, Pickles! He just chirped at me. So, this article starts out by saying, a few months ago, I succumbed to the fantasy of a virtuously decluttered house and attempted to clean out my overstuffed abode while sorting through a pile of ancient files. Reading lots and throwing away little, I unearthed the story I'd written while I was a graduate student at the University of Texas in 1975. The accompanying photograph instantly whisked me back almost 50 years. So she's old.
Old as hell. Sorry
She
to say,
was in
folks.
grad school in the 1970s. That's like, she's pretty old.
But can you not do that math really quickly in your head?
No, not really. She's at least well, I don't know, actually. How old would she
at
be?
least 70. At least 75.
Yeah, like at least 70? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, anyways, so I'm gonna skip that little. This is like a personally written article, so there's a lot of like details that aren't necessary to go over in our podcast.
I got a
necessarily.
question.
Talking about
or
the
I
smell
have
of
a-
skirt steak being grilled for fajitas. Yeah.
I have a statement that I just learned from the PBS.org video podcast.
Shout out PBS.
About
We
primates
love
in North
PBS.
America.
Yeah.
I just found out that primates originated in North America.
Is that true?
One of the first known primates.
Chat, is this real?
Purgatorius.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Was like first found in Alberta.
Yeah, I guess
primates originated here.
I guess I kind of forgot about that. But how long ago was it, and how close were the continents?
66 million years ago.
How close were the
continents? Were already
continents?
separated. South America and Africa might have been connected.
Well, either way,
Let me take a look.
they made it back to fucking
66 million years ago. North and South America and Africa were connected, but North and South America were not. I don't know how they got that.
North America.
I don't know how that happened, but either way, it's funny that like they started there and then they went to Africa and then they all left North and South America, but then they came back by rafting. We should talk about the raft theory.
I swear
Let's
to God, if
talk
we don't stop
about
this
the
fucking
raft
rafting.
We've got to put an end to this somehow.
Well, hold on. Everything was still a little bit connected.
It was all a little bit connected.
North America was kind of connected to South America through.
That's
Central
why if you
America,
put
the
South
little bridge
America and Africa together, it looks sort of like a big dinosaur head.
there. Rawr.
So, basically, this lady goes on to say that she said, scrubby mesquite. Wait, is it mesquite? Oh, fuck. How do you say that? Mesquite. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem.
Mesquite?
Scrubby mesquite trees, spiky agave, and a few big-eared prickly pear cacti dotted the barren landscape. Also, I was holding a drugged snow monkey from Japan in my lap.
Real shit.
Her name was Pelka. She was 10 years old and recently had a baby. I was at Lamoka reporting on a story for the Daily Texan about the first ever roundup of a troop of macaques that had been transplanted in 1972 from their sanctuary in the snowy, pine-shaded peaks of Arashiyama, Stormy Mountain in Japan, I guess, outside of Kyoto, to the most unlikely of places. This sun-strobed ranch near Laredo. Pelka and I, were surrounded by volunteers with laps full of sleepy monkeys. A couple dozen of the 176 resident macaques had been captured and tranquilized so that the researchers could examine, inoculate, and tattoo them.
I like that Austin had to pretend that he couldn't say it. Arashiyama, so he could justify messing up everything else.
Fucked up. So yeah, they all got inoculated, tattooed. I hope one of them got a cool, like, sick ass skeleton tattoo, or like a skull. Like a solar system where the sun is a skull, and then like all the planets orbiting it are also skulls, and the moons are also skulls.
Is this the tattoo that you? Is this the very first tattoo you want to get, Austin?
A skull made out of skulls. So
I've just scheduled my first tattoo appointment. By the way, big news. It's coming, folks.
Ooh, what's it gonna be?
I'm not gonna. You'll see.
Okay.
See.
Well, all right.
Is it a little?
It's a little gay for sure.
It's a little gay.
Is it a gay little monkey? Are you getting gay little monkey?
Oh, please.
I'm not getting gay little monkey tattooed onto my body. Sorry
That's
to say.
fucked up of you. You should.
You should.
Will not do that.
So, she goes on to say, we were keeping our charges safe until they had recovered enough to be released back into the electric-fenced 108-acre enclosure where the rest of the troop roamed freely. So here's where I'm going to interject really quick. And this will become relevant again later. So they say electric fenced, but from the person I was interviewing, they actually shut down the electric fence like pretty quickly, to my knowledge, because the monkeys like just kept electrocuting themselves. Like it wasn't deterring them well enough. So they decided, fuck it, we're in the middle of South Texas. What are the monkeys going to do? So they just let them roam free in South Texas. They had many run-ins with local farmers, so I've heard. But we'll get to that.
I'm learning things right now.
So
mind expanding.
My mind is expanding.
Third eye opening.
I just
history of primates.
So I'd photographed 10-year-old Pelka before the roundup as she nursed her baby daughter while being groomed by an underling. Now lolling in my arms, Pelka herself felt like a bony, long-limbed toddler. The silver-furred beauty was so doped up, she allowed me to breach a fundamental macaque taboo and gaze into the unearthly hazel depths of her eyes. I tried to communicate that she was safe with me, that I would protect her, that I understood. I, too, had been an involuntary immigrant to Texas. 3 happiest years of my Air Force brat childhood had been spent at the Yokota Air Base in the suburbs of western Tokyo, where I could see Mount Fuji from the backyard of our tiny house. Japan could enchant any child, and as enchanted as I was, enchanted I was by the people, by the smell of honeysuckle that perfumed the air, by eating with lacquered sticks, by kawaii, the rampant culture of cuteness, and by the fairy tales, especially the many stories that centered on the most kawaii of all animals, Japan's beloved Japan's beloved trickster, the snow monkey. I dreamed of petting one. So basically, a
7-year-old woman using kawaii.
That's
I'm
crazy.
gonna kill myself.
So, she ended up at UT and heard about this roundup of Japanese macaques and rushed to volunteer because it was her literal childhood dream. Which, this is how a lot of primatology was done back in the day. People were just like, "Oh, I love monkeys.
This is what you're doing right now.
It's still kind of what's happening, but now at least we're not like letting just any fucking person go into a sanctuary, raw dog in it, and like touch monkeys with their bare hands. Like at least we're
I just don't understand. Okay, I gotta ask a question about this lady and Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
Does it ever erupt? Wouldn't it wipe out Tokyo?
I don't think it's erupted
Does Mount Fuji erupt?
I don't believe it's erupted
active.
in quite some
Why?
time.
I assume. Hold on.
Yeah. That'd be crazy if it did erupt.
That'd be crazy if it just took out Tokyo again.
1707 was its last eruption.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen again, but
That's what Evangelion is really about.
Yeah. So, then there's some pictures of people like just straight up in the monkey enclosures, like with these free roaming. There's so many macaques, like it's crazy. I also did myself the courtesy of Control F searching herpes, not mentioned once in this entire article. So,
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming no one got herpes, but I mean, because
they've had their shots, but also
here's the thing. Like, I think they were probably free roaming enough that they probably weren't that stressed and weren't like actively shedding herpes. Maybe they were and they just got lucky, but like, it's pretty rare unless in absence of like.
Are the macaques just have herpes built into them?
Yeah, no, they all have them, but they just don't always shed the virus. They typically shed it during like stressful instances, especially.
So, like, if you were drugged and put into the hands of somebody who's staring deeply in your eyes for like 20 minutes,
like that.
I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna kill you and eat you. I'm gonna put you on a spit and cut you up and eat you.
Yeah. So. The Curious Odyssey that catapulted the troop from the snowy heights of Japan, Stormy Mountain, to a ranch in far south Texas began in 1953, when Japanese primatologists started laying out wheat and apples to lure the free-roaming band close enough to be observed. For the first time, researchers could identify troop members and track them down throughout their lives. And this is like, we've talked about the difference between Japanese and Western primatology, where it really is like a very like, they name the monkeys and like try to get to like really understand them by applying human behaviors, and it's an interesting approach. So
do you think they're better at it from your perspective?
I don't know if they're
better or worse.
I'm not going to say if it's better or worse. It's just a matter of like currently Japanese primatology is kind of like in a free fall because literally one guy misallocated funds and they shut down the whole like primatology school in University of Kyoto. So
isn't that where you wanted to go?
I wanted to go there at some point, but now now they're doing the thing where that academics do when they cut a program. They divide up what they can and give it to other departments, and what they can't, they just liquidate. So that's what they did with this. So by 1966, the population of these primates
all over this shit.
Jesus Christ. So these
what the hell is that?
Gin.
It's 8 p.m. on Sunday.
I quit my fucking job. Leave me alone.
You did?
Yeah, you.
I'm gonna go into. I have some interviews tomorrow. I'm gonna go in.
Wait, why'd you quit your job?
Fuck them kids. That's why.
Did I not tell y'all that why I quit my job?
No,
You told me. I remember.
Yeah, you didn't tell me. This is new.
Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry
Hold
to
on.
derail the podcast for another moment.
That's what we do.
It's what we do here.
As our loyal listeners know.
Also,
I'm
wait,
a
if you're
great
okay,
fucking teacher. I'm a wonderful teacher.
If you're picking up Kim, you can't drink. By the way, you gotta study it.
Oh, true.
Yeah, you probably stop now. Anyways, so continue.
Anyway, so I had to take over the math class, 5 classes a day for like 2 months, and I told them back in October, I was like, hey, if I'm gonna do all this extra work, I would like a bonus or like a raise or something to reflect all this extra work I'm doing. And they were like, well, we can't give you the raise now because yada, 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 bonding, blah, 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 gotta get the kids, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. But we always renegotiate contracts in January. So when January comes around, we can talk about your salary raise again. I was like, straight up, real shit. I'm gonna take your word on this, and I'm gonna do this work, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. And I did that for 4 or 5 months. Then January rolls around. They make us all put our new resumes in, update our resumes, put them in again. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's talk about this raise. And they were like, well, we don't have a raise for you. And I was like, okay, cool. Then I resign. I resigned on the spot.
They thought you were lying.
They thought I was fucking with them.
They thought you were fucking around.
They found out. Yeah. I was like, well, hold on. We had this conversation 4 or 5 months ago. I've seen you buy, like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of stereo equipment and all this other shit to make your shitty school seem better than it is.
Uh-huh.
And you didn't put aside even a cent for me, the person that you know you owe. So I resign. Bye. And yeah, I put in my 2 weeks. We'll see how long I really stick around for this 2-week period. I might just go in tomorrow, leave my stuff there, and not show up again. Fuck them.
That's fair, man.
If they're gonna do that shit to me, I'll just do it right back to them. Yeah, I told everybody on my math and science department. I told them I quit. So yeah.
All right. Well, good on you for sticking up for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm jobless again.
You know what? We all love to be jobless on this show. This is our favorite activity, being unemployed.
Y'all really thought something changed. I was like, I got a full-time job. I'm doing great. Nope. We're right back in it, boys.
One of our dumbasses does it again.
As soon as everyone's employed again, I'm going to be next. I'm going to be stuck like 3 months not being able to find a job after I graduate.
Anyways. That's what happens when you get a degree like yours.
Come on! Come on! Okay, anyways. So, back to the article. So, basically, these primatologists in Kyoto had left out these apples and wheat to attract the monkeys and get them comfortable with them. The consequence of this was that by 1966, the population had exploded and they were unafraid of humans. So they took to raiding gardens, stealing laundry, and most unforgivable of all, pooping in Buddhist temples where they would sleep in the rafters.
Buddhist temples? Who says Buddhist? Why do you say it like that?
What is it, Buddhist?
Like Buddhist, yeah.
No, let him say Buddhist. Like Buddhist.
I thought it was Buddhist. Anyway. So the national...
What?
He's putting too much ooh on it. Like
too much
Buddhist temples. Ooh, Buddhist temples.
Ooh. So the national treasures had become public nuisances. Unless a new home was found, the 150 rogue monkeys would become candidates for either lab studies or the dissection table. No takers could be found in Japan. A 5-alarm alert went up through the international community to save these members of the only group of primates whose behavior and matrilineal lines had been studied for over a
It's got to
decade.
be crazy that if you just leave Japan alone, they will automatically reform Unit 731.
That's no.
What do you think they were going to do to those monkeys?
Yeah, they'll just keep doing it.
So, basically, one of the candidates for a home was Claude A. Bramblett advocated very vigorously on the monkey's behalf that one of his undergraduate students, Helen Dryden, carried the tale back to her father, E.J. Dryden, a Laredo attorney, rancher, and land developer. Laredo, shut the fuck. When E.J. called Bramblett to inquire how many animals he could raise on 100 or so acres of land, and if once the troop was firmly established, the surplus monkeys could be sold. That's that's not at all how that works. But anyways, according to Dryden family legend, the Japanese Air Force secretly flew the monkeys to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio to avoid protests from Japanese citizens upset by the U.S.'s involvement in the Vietnam War.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Which based, I guess, but other reports maintain that the 150 displaced monkeys made the 26-hour flight via Japan Airlines in the Arizona Air National Guard. Whatever the mode of transport, the travelers arrived on February 2nd, 1972 at their new home, Arashiyama West, which is, they just called it what it was, but added West to it.
Yeah, you know,
sure.
Good enough.
Yeah, why not? They might as well have landed on the moon for all the resemblance the 108 acres of flat, arid brushland bore to their native country. In place of the piney snow-capped retreats where they'd forage for nuts, wild plants, and mushrooms, they now faced a hostile landscape weaponized with thorny mesquite, prickly cactus, and coyotillo, the last defended with both sword barbs and poisonous berries. Back in Japan, they might have encountered the rare wolf or feral dog. Out on the lone prairie, the monkeys now had to confront mobs of predators: bobcats, coyotes, hawks, owls, rattlesnakes, and screwworms. So, like, they really just dropped these fucking monkeys into hell.
Yeah, literally.
Like, at what point?
Your mission is to survive.
Literally.
So, tell us about the adaptability of primates in general, maybe macaques specifically, if you can.
I mean, monkeys in general are just...
I mean, I imagine it's very much like us, where we exist on all kind of...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, even humans as primates are, like, very adaptable. We live everywhere. Yeah. But, like, compared to great apes, primates are, like, much more adaptable. Like, they are the generalists. They are built for foraging in whatever environment they can establish a foothold in. That's why it's so easy for them to become invasive.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of invasive species all over Southeast Asia specifically.
Yeah.
Because they just thrive anywhere they live. Live.
Basically, unlike the great apes, like, their metabolic focus was all on, like, just adaptability and shit like that. I don't know. Like, the great apes are very specialized to their environments. Primates are not. All right, sorry. The monkeys are not, rather.
I see. Gotcha. So orangutans, they be living where they live.
I don't think orangutans could survive anywhere else but Borneo or, well, the what's the word I'm looking for? What are they called?
The jungle? Rainforest?
I mean, yeah, the jungle rainforest, but it's specific mangrove.
Oh, I see.
And the surrounding areas.
Okay.
Same with proboscis monkeys. But proboscis monkeys are a weird, interesting case, I think.
Are proboscis monkeys great apes?
No, they're just regular monkeys. They're just they're just pretty big and, like, sensitive, I guess.
Yeah.
Sensitive guys.
I see. Sensitive little guys. They get made fun of too much for their weird little noses.
Yeah, they get called white people all the time, and it drives them insane.
It's gotta be doing terrible things to the psyche.
Yeah. So, do you wanna read a little bit?
Yes, I will read a little bit. So
lift off at a cold winter.
A cold winter and a lot of insecticide took care of the screwworms. The coyotillo, rattlers, birds of prey, and bobcats were another story. After a period of mutual puzzlement, the bobcats discovered the food value of a Japanese macaque and abducted 3 infants. Human intervention via a shotgun neutralized that threat.
Such a funny way to say that.
So anyways, I started blasting. Following the deaths of several of their compatriots from snake bites, the troop, in a remarkable example of adaptation, developed a special alarm call for the slithering threats. No further rattler deaths were recorded.
Yeah.
Okay,
see,
so
and-
they're like really actively developing techniques to survive this dude.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like just a repurposed predator alert call, or what, but because
Which
like
probably is the most sensible.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's an example of how adaptable they are. They found in similar situations chimpanzees don't really develop new vocalizations. Like they do, but they don't really do it in the same way. Like there's more variability between chimpanzee groups or chimpanzee populations than like subgroups in a different location, if that makes sense. I explained it better.
Are you
earlier.
still studying vocalizations?
Yeah, I'm studying the vocalizations of ruffed lemurs now, though.
Gotcha.
And basically the thing with vocalizations is like they're a tool, and they're a multi-use tool. They're like a Swiss Army knife. They can be used for different things. One thing in particular is the shriek roar calls of the Varichia species of lemurs, ruffed lemurs. Sorry, is they basically just start going, and then the entire and the entire social group,
Y'all should have seen the fucking face awesome man making that noise.
the entire social group starts doing it. It becomes like a chorus of like horrible shrieking. And like basically throughout the 20th century, people were like, it's a predator call. No, it's a social cohesion call. No, it's a territorial call. But basically what they found is, or at least the theory that I'm working with, that I'm trying to like build on with my hypothesis, I guess, is that basically these calls are primarily for the purpose of group cohesion, but things that challenge group cohesion are predation and territorial disputes. And so it's kind of all of those things. It's a way to calm down. It's just by screaming.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
You gotta let it out, brother.
And I assume it helps intimidate whoever is encroaching on their land.
I'd assume that's a pretty
getting at 'em.
intimidating thing, yeah.
Yeah, you run up on a rough lemur, and a bunch of fucking screaming from the treetops.
One of my
not a great sound.
One of my first like encounters with a ruffed lemur was at the Lemur Conservation Foundation in Florida when I was doing field work for a class, basically, and I got up kind of too close to this lemur, and I accidentally stepped on one of his water bottles, because they have these little like water bottles they play with in the their little pastures, I guess you could call them. And he started like hopping at me, like he stood up on his 2 legs and jumped at me, and I backed up, and he jumped again. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? I was just watching this monkey like completely mog me.
Get fucking mogged.
Yeah. So, oh shit, where was I going with this? I don't even know. Oh yeah, I guess my little interjection was just that the person I interviewed, who also was at this, I guess, ranch for a while, said that a big part of their job was to be on the lookout for rattlesnakes and like get rid of them, basically, like fend them off.
Gotcha. So yeah, it's not that the macaques just were dropped in the middle of the desert and they like figured out how to live there.
Yeah, no, they were being fed. They were being protected.
They're being fed and protected
to the best of the caretaker's ability, which was
they're walking around with 6-shooters and shotguns.
Yeah,
shooting anything that moves.
Yeah.
Okay. So should we
yeah, we can skip ahead a bit. So that was
let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay. So Bird continues. So that was the last glimpse of Pelka. The snow monkeys of South Texas remained an odd and unexpected force in my life. In 1980, when my life as a freelance journalist was listing dangerously, into the free direction, I discovered a booming phenomenon to help me pay my rent. Romance. Oh, why am I reading this?
I was gonna just let you read it. It's funny that she just starts talking about her romance novels.
She does start talking about her romance
Basically,
novels.
she's talking about like it says fetching young primatologists is studying the behavior of a troop of Japanese macaques. Sorry, I'm slipping into my old habits. Macaques transplanted to say a ranch near Laredo. Fuck.
All letters in Spanish are pronounced the same way
I
every
know.
time.
There's something in my brain that doesn't let me do it right. All I had to do was remove every scrap of the aforementioned research, add a handsome rancher, make her eyes cornflower blue, his shoulders broad, and translate the whole thing into romance speak. So basically, she wrote romance novels based on her time at the fucking monkey ranch, which honestly, there is like a lot of
that's cool.
There's a lot of like anthropology self-study on how like important for like development and like maturation that like field schools are for professional anthropologists, and how like there's always like some kind of life-changing experience at a field site. Basically, some crazy shit happens to you in the wilderness, you know.
Yeah, I feel like this is true of almost any field you study in university. Like if you don't have the opportunity to go out and do that shit on your own, then like what is up, you know?
Yeah. So let me see here. I'm going to skip ahead. With my own small primate boy child to raise and many novels to write, I lost track of the snow monkeys until 1996. For the record, she's talking about a human baby. When a friend mentioned that Wayne Newton had headlined a fundraiser for the animals at the Majestic Theater in San Antonio. Wayne Newton? What had caused Mr. Las Vegas to intercede on the troupe's behalf? It turns out that around the time that I was starving as a freelancer, the troop of monkeys was being uprooted again. Although E.J. Dryden had died just a year after the macaques arrived in Texas, they lived on his ranch until 1980 when the estate was put up for sale. A new home was needed, and once again, U.T. Bramblett came to their aid, this time with the help of another anthropology student, Lou Griffin. Now, this is a character for the rest of the article. So, Griffin persuaded her in-laws at the time, the owner of the Burns Ranch near Dilley, about an hour southwest of San Antonio, to set aside 100 acres of their vast spread. This new site was christened the South Texas Primate Observatory. There, under Griffin's care, the troop continued to thrive. So, they're just really moving these monkeys around different ranches in Texas.
Yeah, and they're going to get moved around a little bit until they find their final home, which is very funny.
Yeah, I want you to read this next paragraph.
Okay. This is maybe one of the best parts of the story. I hate to say it.
I hate to say it. It's got to be one of the best sentences.
That is until January 21st of 1996, when 3 monkeys, Missy, Lily, and Meggie, 2 nursing mothers and a friend, were shot dead. Blowed apart, the game warden told the Austin Chronicle. So great color commentary, no notes. Keep it up, sir. Texas.
So I just like to say, at this point, they link to the Austin Chronicle article talking about the event, which, by the way, it's so funny how much the Austin Chronicle has changed over time, because you see this old article and talking about the game warden saying, them monkeys got blowed apart. And then on the sidebar, it's like queer news. And then today's biggest events is some article called Bitchcraft Themvolution, Butterfly Bar at the Vortex.
Listen, I love all of my queer siblings across the nation.
What the fuck are you doing in Austin?
Why are you in Austin? I will never step foot in that city.
Get away from there.
I swear to you, I will never step foot in Texas as a whole. They're blown apart. The culprits were hunters.
Yeah.
Who had lured. Okay, so oh damn, really? The culprits were hunters who had lured them a few feet outside the observatory's fence line with deer corn. A 4th macaque, Jason, came out of it alive, but with a stump for an arm.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're getting poached. They're being poached.
Yeah, which is weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I can't tell if it was like farmers taking revenge for monkeys like raiding their crops, or if they just wanted to like fucking eat them or like kill them or sell them or some shit. I don't know.
They wanted a macaque on the hood of their truck.
So the Austin Chronicle article said, at the time, many locals could have predicted this would happen, but the actual chain of events, the 1996 open season on monkeys, is a story that has steadily faded. How had monkeys come to be standing in the Texas Hunters firing line? The troop under fire consisted of a wild but rapidly acculturating snow monkeys. This particular troop began as about 150 in number. Basically, the troop grew and evolved, retaining some wild traits while expanding their human-adapted behavior. They took advantage of man-made perches, row crops, and food provided to them, as well as feed pilfered from local farms and ranches. They learned to defeat fences, locks, and gates. Much like farm animals, they became semi-dependent on the proximity of humans. They multiplied to an estimated 600 by 1995. So I just want to take a really quick, because that's really, I'm glad that they said that. Over COVID, it was actually sort of witnessed. I read this in like the American Journal of Primatology recently. Over COVID, when primates that had gotten used to, essentially being in proximity of humans and like mooshing off of them, when COVID happened and everyone stopped going outside, all of a sudden, all these monkeys like around the world started doing like tool use and shit to overcome the fact that they no longer had human like trash to eat and shit.
Really?
It was very interesting. Like they adapted. They were like, fuck it, we'll do our own thing. I'm sure they're back to human dependent behaviors now, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, they really are just taking advantage of the situation. If you stop feeding them, they're going to say, all right, fuck it, I'll figure something else out.
Yeah, and then use the infrastructure that we're not gonna get rid of our own infrastructure for the sake of monkeys. We're gonna keep using our infrastructure.
Yeah. So 20 years of success opened the door to one legendary failure. First, a bobcat or cougar killed the troop's leader among his companions. The frightened survivors began, understandably, to hang more closely around the roofs, fences, and compounds of both their own home and the neighboring ranches. Someone called the authorities to complain. Surely it wasn't acceptable to set loose a bunch of foreign primates on a quiet rural county. Not that they were as bad as fire ants or saltcedar, but still, there had to be rules to these things, right? Well, there had been. Until 1994, the monkeys have been protected officially as a threatened species, yada yada. In June of 1994, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service ruled that this particular troop of macaques was not a protected species, like they considered it a wild species now. So, there's nothing in state or federal law forbidding the shooting of feral macaques because they were classified as an exotic, unprotected species, as in you can make a game of shooting them anytime you want. This wasn't true, as the research animals belonged to the observatory, but they were protected in the same way privately owned cattle are protected, even if they escape their ranches. Basically, hunters just started like gunning these motherfuckers down.
Damn.
So yeah, let me see. On the final day of the 1995 to 96 hunting season, the 4 snow monkeys were shot. They had survived into a second generation as refugees from a sprawling suburb on the other side of the world. They made the mistake of crossing a fence line in Texas, which, for an article written in 2005 in Texas, is very like on the nose. And it's lifted for the article that we were reading before this as well, and it's reworded to be even more on the nose, where she says the 4 victims, descendants of immigrants from a snowy land on the other side of the globe, had survived rattlesnakes, screwworms, and crushing heat, only to be gunned down for crossing a fence line in Texas. So,
all borders must be abolished.
Kill all borders. Kill all borders. So we'll go back to the original article and continue reading.
Again, a 5-alarm alert was raised. This time it went out not just to primatologists, but to animal lovers around the country. Among those who heeded the call was Wayne Newton, who choppered in to perform a benefit concert that raised $40,000. The money was used to help purchase a more secure, permanent home for the troop a few miles off I-35 outside of Millet. Convinced that Pelka's descendants and the rest of the troop were safe, I didn't give them much thought again until I came across my crumbling trove of ancient clippings. Overwhelmed by the sight of Pelka's sweet face, I wondered anew what had become of the troop, given that the average macaque lifespan is less than 25 years. I held no hope of finding the monkey I'd had so much in common with. Still, if her daughter or any of her descendants had survived, They would be known since the matrilineal lines of all the Arashiyama monkeys were recorded. What's the importance of matrilineal lines, Austin?
I'm not sure why matrilineal specifically, because
I mean, I assume it's easier.
I mean, it's obviously for genealogy, and because like matrilineal is, X chromosomes are easier.
Yeah, because these monkey dads be deadbeat as hell.
Yeah, that also.
They come around. They knock someone up, and then they get on their merry way.
The only time I think like patrilineal relations would probably be important is probably with gibbons, who are monogamous, basically. Monogamous in the same way that we are, in that they cheat.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
do the gibbon commandments also say no adultery?
I don't think they follow commandments. I think they're lawless beasts. I think I've heard funny stories about gibbons that my professor researches. I think one of the female gibbons is gaslighting an unrelated male gibbon into thinking that he's the father of her child by they do this thing called like paternity confusion, where like they basically have sex with multiple monkeys at the same time, and then
so you're telling me that the gibbons need a Maury show?
Yeah.
But you're telling me that they need a gibbon Maury.
The reason that my professor thinks that this female gibbon is gaslighting this other younger male gibbon into thinking he's the father, and like forcing the baby on him, making him take care of it, is because they've witnessed him trying to have sex and like completely trying to fuck the wrong part of the body and just missing. And so they think he's like kind of stupid and not smart enough to actually go through with it. So she said actually that like the gibbon had to like redirect his penis. Sorry to get too graphic with the gibbon sex, but
give it to us.
Yeah, very silly. Anyway, so the one person who could answer if this lady, Sarah Bird's favorite little baby monkey was still safe was Lou Griffin, who she then found and interviewed.
I'm just a caretaker. Griffin, dressed in overalls with the younger of her two tow-headed daughters strapped
That's
into
crazy
a
to say.
on her back, says in the footage as she hauls bags of range cubes and grain into the bed of her pickup. Yeah, so this article links a video where Griffin is basically explaining what they're doing at the ranch, right? And the whole time she's in this video, she's got one of her kids strapped to her back the entire time. It's really kind of wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's over here like, oh yeah, the whole point of our job as anthropologists isn't to live with monkeys, it's to observe them so we can understand the rules that we need to abide by.
Yeah.
It's really great. They need to make a movie about her.
Yeah, no,
they made that one movie about the autistic lady who figured out how cows work. They need to make a movie about her.
Yeah, they actually say like, "Oh, Griffin should have been the Texas's Jane Goodall," but that's literally the next sentence is a vibrantly appealing, down-to-earth woman. Griffin was perfectly cast to be the Texas Jane Goodall. But yeah, no, I'd also like to take a slight detour and say that it's very interesting how the Japanese macaques from the Japanese primatology tradition sort of like carried the Japanese primatology theory into America via the South Texas Ranch. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
by the way, we talked a little bit about it. Is there any more details you can give us about what the Kyoto guy did that fucked everything up?
I don't remember. So the guy in charge of the primate research center of Kyoto basically like misallocated some funds. I guess embezzled a little bit.
Embezzled.
Did a little bit of embezzling, and then they shut the whole fucking thing down because of one guy. Yeah. Literally one guy.
He didn't get too touchy-feely with the monkeys. Right?
No.
Nothing really ludicrous we could really make a spectacle of on the show.
It's just boring bureaucratic drama. So, also, it's funny, they say, under Griffin's management, the monkeys were larger, healthier, stronger, and more fertile than their kinfolk back in Japan, which
Let's go,
America number
baby.
one, baby. We're feeding them fuckers hamburgers. We're getting
Yeah.
yoked.
Yeah.
It's something in the air here. It just makes everyone
know?
crazy and big.
Makes everybody a little bit cooler, a little bit sexier, makes them a little bigger, you know?
So,
The Japanese simply cannot compete.
yeah. It's not their fault. They weren't born in Texas.
We're simply built a little bit different.
In 1991, The Monkeys of Arashiyama, 35 Years of Research in Japan and the West was published. This landmark compilation of studies covered topics such as the monkeys' stunning adaptation to Texas, the mysteries of their hierarchical world, and surprising importance of the mother's rank. And none of it could have been written without the decades of data provided by researchers who'd been allowed to live and work on site. I'm glad. I'm also about the female monkey thing. There's like an increasing number of articles. One just came out recently about the role of like co-dominance and how basically patriarchal sex dominance is like not nearly as universal in primates as we thought it was. I'd even argue that like most great apes, maybe beyond like orangutans and gorillas, are probably like co-dominant to an extent, because chimpanzees have female alphas. They're technically below the male alphas, but like they handle the female side of politics. You know, it's as crazy as that sounds to say, but they do have sex segregated politics a little bit. But yeah, a lot of co-dominance also comes from the fact that like, sorry to do incel theory here, but like the female primates can choose who they want to mate with, you know, and so they have a degree of co-dominance in primate societies.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, most lemurs are completely female dominated. Like, they're the enforcers. Like, they're the motherfuckers beating the shit out of other monkeys for coming into their territory. And
real shit.
Like in Varichia, the ruffed lemurs that I study, it's this one study was like, yeah, the females handled most of the territorial disputes, while the males pretty much contributed nothing while screaming. Which,
hey, they're doing cohesion.
Yeah, they're doing cohesion. It's important.
Can you make a sound again?
Oh God, you know, no, I'm gonna just put in the sound of them screaming right here because it's really scary and you got to hear it for yourself. Okay, there it goes.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, wasn't that crazy?
That insane. Don't want to hear that when you're walking around Florida at night.
Yeah. So, after several false leads, I finally tracked Griffin down. She agreed to meet me for breakfast at the Whataburger in Lytle?
Yeah, Little.
At 25 miles southwest of San Antonio. I'm early, but Griffin is earlier. Already seated in a booth at the back where the Already seated in a booth at the back where the Whataburger merges into a mini H-E-B's. She's wearing a t-shirt festooned with quails, shorts, a pair of powder blue Crocs, and a safari-like boonie hat.
This is so fucking Texas. This is Texas as hell.
So, I'd take a moment to study the woman that I'd seen on that Texas Country Reporter video, bouncing in and out of the bed of a pickup with a toddler strap on her back. She's now 74, and age has taken its toll. Fishbowled behind oversized rimless glasses, her eyes are as bright as inquisitive as they'd been all those years ago, which this is Yuri.
She's really a romance writer.
This is Yuri.
She really is.
Yeah, she is. Oh my God, of course, she's a romance novelist. What am I saying? That's how she describes everyone.
Yep.
So basically, though I immediately want to ask about Pelka and her descendants, that's the monkey that she held, that she did all this for, I hold my tongue. For I will soon learn Griffin and Pelka's stories are inextricably intertwined. Basically, she was also a graduate student researcher at this ranch. Following her graduation in 1970, Griffin married an army lieutenant, boo, and the young couple was transferred to Germany for a 3-year assignment.
Double boo.
Yeah, wait, oh, boo. Yeah. During Griffin's absence, the Snow Monkeys arrived in Texas. When she returned to Austin in 1973 to continue her graduate studies, Griffin joined the cadre of budding prime... Oh, so sorry, it was... She was an undergraduate. Then she went to Germany. Then she was a graduate student at the ranch. I read that wrong. These students would visit the site to complete field research for their doctorates. But that's not what I did, Griffin says. I stayed, so I never did get my PhD. So she stayed on as an animal husbandry worker rather than getting her PhD, which based maybe? I don't know.
A little bit. Who could say?
Half a century later, Griffin is actually in the process of finishing her degree at the University of Texas at San Antonio now, which, I mean, I don't want to dox myself again, but like, you know, my academic grandparents are from UT San Antonio, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Is it a big pillar of the anthropology academic community in Texas, UT San Antonio?
I don't think so. I think it's just that this particular strain of like primatological anthropology originated here. Which honestly, now that I think of it, this is kind of like my origin story. This is why I'm in the program I'm in the first place.
I mean, that's you discovered this because you were talking to one of your teachers who
I mean,
who studied here, right?
Yeah, and that's a complete coincidence because she's not really like she's just a research administrator at the university. Like she's unrelated to my professor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Although they did meet up with each other, and that's how I got this interview. So yeah, it's related still.
Yeah, I see.
So,
they detail how they're running out of funds.
Yeah,
they can't fund any of the they're academics. They don't know how to raise money for this.
Yeah,
and then she ends up as the director of what they rename the API Primate Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
API was pumping much needed money and resources into the complex, but then the research completely stopped. In 2002, and a move that stunned many in the primate world, Griffin was fired, and not long after, she was also arrested on charges of trespassing on the property and briefly jailed. It was a shocking turn for the experts in the field, many of whom came to her defense. We got a lot of letters from people who were upset, Merritt Clifton, editor of Animal People, told the San Antonio Express News at the time. She was a legendary figure, and lots of people know her and respect her.
Yeah, the charges were dropped, but that's still like kind of crazy. Why the fuck did they do that? Actually, I don't. Anyways, so
she was too devoted to the cause. She was out there feeding the monkeys, hanging out with the monkeys. We fired you, lady.
Did they like coup her? Like I don't know. Like I don't get it.
Hey, there's a coup is gonna happen in the story. Maybe there's another coup underlying in the subtext here. We just don't know about it.
So basically, after decades of devoting her life to the care of these animals, the world Griffin had known was suddenly gone. It was my life, Griffin explains, her voice quivering. It was my entire life, literally. I don't want to start crying, although I might. This is like a common thing with monkey people, animal people really, is just that like they get so attached to these primates that like, yeah, I understand why she would show back up on the property after getting fired, just to like see the monkeys again. You know, we talked about it with the IKEA monkey lady who still does that shit with her pet monkey, although that's a different, more morbid, fucked up situation. This is like the ethical version of that, but it's still like the same emotional process, I feel like, you know?
Yeah.
With 2 children to support, Griffin went to work for the local school system. About with long, COVID-19 has recently slowed work toward her doctorate. To this day, the pain of her exile remains so acute that she cut all ties with the troop and knows almost nothing about the current management. That's kind of sad. So basically, the new leadership took over in 2007, and it was called the Born Free Foundation. Created by the 2 British actors who starred in the 1966 hit film Born Free. That's weird. The nonprofit merged with API and took over the private facility, which is now known as Born Free USA Primate Sanctuary. So, like, I'd be kind of... Do you think we could get this lady on for an interview to explain, like, what the hell happened? Like, why she got, like, kicked out?
Maybe,
Maybe.
Get her contact. Oh, is she alive?
Well, this was written 2023, like a couple months ago. Okay. So I'm sure she's still alive.
Oh. Maybe.
So basically, the way this article ends is, I'm dismayed to learn that Griffin has had no contact with the troop in over 2 decades. Fearing that my search for clues as to what happened to Pelka and her offspring is about to end at the Little Whataburger, I finally ask if it might be possible that any of Pelka's descendants have survived. To my surprise, Griffin answers emphatically, absolutely there should be descendants. How can you be so certain, I wonder? Her answer stuns me. It was Pelka's family that Griffin had studied for a 1989 paper that was cited in the most recent compilation of research. What she'd learned about them made sure that if any line had survived, it would have been Pelka's. Pelka was from a fairly low-ranking family, but, not to use that or too anthropomorphic, a very clever family, she tells me. And then this line, clever, yes, I always knew that my girl was clever.
Great line.
Though Pelka had lived to the very ripe old age of 23, the story Griffin recounts was about her daughter, Pelka 6575, named in the Japanese manner, for her mother's birth year and her own. Which, yeah, the Japanese do like a first name and then numbers in their primatology methods. So she decided that she was tired of putting up with all the, this is my interpretation, all the guff of these high-ranking females that were always making her move on the shade and eat after them. She decided to start her own troop, so she had to work politically very hard to get her little group together before she could fission off. As with any diligent
Pelka did a coup.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go, Pelka.
Monkey coup! Monkey coup!
Let's go!
This
is why we watched all those fucking movies. Patreon.com/Gorilla Radio Show.
Yeah.
BTW.
As with any diligent scientist who's uncovered some marvelous pattern, Griffin's excitement mounts as she recounts Pelka's 6575's astute maneuvering to build a coalition of mutineers who did finally break away and start their own subgroup. They're amazingly political animals, she notes. I'm delighted to learn that my girl was the founding matriarch, the primogenitrix, as one scientific article put it, of the Pelka 65 line, and the mother of a rebel leader who led a downtrodden group to a better life. I agree with Griffin. If any of the monkey's descendants had survived, it would have been Pelka's. My outlook brightened considerably. Although the Born Free Sanctuary is closed to the public, it has agreed to let me visit. It's the next and undoubtedly final stop on my search.
Let's go.
So yeah, this is basically it's the rest of it just talks about how Born Free is a nonprofit that takes care of like 15,000 monkeys and apes. Sorry.
Also, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I said that completely wrong. So basically, it just goes on to say that Born Free Primate Sanctuaries in Texas, it's doing good work. Its biggest thing is trying to prohibit the trading of primates as pet in the United States.
Real, as you should.
And so that's actually what our next episode most likely is going to be about, because Greg found this like weird Instagram ad where some guy was trying to sell fucking marmosets in Salt Lake City, and I think we tried to contact like the Fish and Wildlife Department, but the post was taken down, so who knows what happened. But basically, Born Free Primate Sanctuary played a role in covering Doc Antle from the Tiger King Netflix show, which I haven't watched and probably won't watch.
I might watch it for the episode, so we have some context.
I should watch it. I just don't.
We'll
I'm not particularly interested, but yeah, basically, there's a legal case that we're gonna cover next. But
yoo-hoo.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know. It's a fun little story about a lady, late in life being reunited with a primate that left a lasting impact on her from a field school. And I think that's really nice. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sweet.
Yeah. Where is it here in this article that the actual reuniting happens? I'm trying to find it specifically. But Bird drives down to Born Free.
Yeah.
Is met by the director, Liz. What's her name? Liz is the only name. Is that really truly the only name that we're given?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Liz, the director, and greets me with a warm smile in front of the collection of portable buildings that serves as the sanctuary's headquarters and where she lived for the first 3 of the 4 years she's been in Texas. Although she's wearing rubber boots and Born Free's uniform of black shorts and a polo shirt, Tyson, I guess Elizabeth Tyson, with her close cropped hair and flawless English skin. What kind of English people are you, mean?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Somehow manages to appear almost runaway ready despite the sauna level humidity. Inside one of the portables, we pass a crew of staff and volunteers absorbed in measuring out the supplements and medications prescribed for each of the sanctuary's 300 residents. In Tyson's cramped office, where a box fan labors vainly against the sodden heat, we dive into her lengthy history of animal activism.
Yeah, basically, what happens is they give her a tour, and they take her to the sanctuary thing now. It's a proper sanctuary now, for the record. They're like,
Yeah.
they're enclosed. They're not just free roaming around Texas.
Yeah, Tyson says we've worked really hard to convert it into a true sanctuary, and it had elements of a sanctuary before, but there are certain parameters within which a legitimate sanctuary should operate. That includes not breeding the animals because we don't want to perpetuate endless captivity of these primates.
Yeah. That is like the modus operandi of most sanctuaries now, is that unless they're like purposefully a part of like, I don't know, an AZA accredited breeding program or something for like endangered monkeys, which is, what lemur centers often do, then they're not going to like breed the monkeys, because the goal of a sanctuary is to shut down one day. So basically, she gets taken to the enclosure and says, "This," Tyson tells me, "is where Pelka offspring lives with 50 other descendants of the original crew. I'm at the end of my quest. Though I still can't make out a single pink face amid the foliage, I approach the fence with a number of foolish expectations. That the monkeys will crowd forward at our approach. That I will somehow sense which one is Pelka 65's offspring. I even have a momentary fantasy of some meme-worthy interspecies reunion in which I am recognized as the great-great-great-grandmother's friend. What happened instead is nothing.
They're animals, people.
They're animals.
Don't forget. We love them. They're cool. They're animals."
So, there's one there, Tyson says, directing my attention to a lone monkey perched atop a mesquite tree. A couple others observe us from the roof of a distant cage. None of the three makes the slightest move in our direction. "So," I mutter to them, far off in their splendid isolation, "you're just done with humans." Tyson explains that staff members enter the enclosure only to feed the monkeys or provide medical care. They're interested in the wheelbarrow because it's got the food, and they're not interested in us at all, which is exactly as we like it. So this is a story of the changing philosophy of primate care in America, because what I was doing for my research, why I'm interviewing these like research administrators, is like I'm trying to figure out like how people conceive of their knowledge of primates and how people sort of perceive their authority over their comfort with primates. Because part of this assignment for this class was going to the zoo and just observing people, and I realized like, damn, the more like human like to primate interaction that you're allowed to have, the more you're given the guise of like confidence in like, yeah, I understand monkeys. Same thing applies to me. Like, I started this podcast after working at a chimpanzee sanctuary for like literally a month, and I was like, yeah, I'm a monkey expert. I'm something of a primate expert.
I know what's good.
But the truth is that like interacting safely with primates gives you this false sense of confidence in that like, oh, I know what a monkey would do. And this zoo had people like regulars to the zoo, like throwing food to the baboons and like he was their old pal, and like saying, oh, he's doing that because so on and so forth. And like the zookeepers, this is a very rural zoo, obviously, saying like, oh yeah, we go in with the animals sometimes, but only we can. And it's, I don't know, it's just this weird process of like familiarity where there's a curve where like when you're first introduced to primates and primate behavior, you're very confident. And then like something scary happens, something realistic happens, and you realize, I don't know shit, and these are unpredictable animals. And then you sort of like gradually build your knowledge with this newfound humbling. Because I found that like people who haven't worked with primates at all so far in the like ethnography I'm doing are like pretty damn confident in their knowledge of primates, because it feels like a very like feeling out empathy type of thing because they're so similar to humans. And then the people who have been like veterinarians for like 20 years like are not at all confident in their knowledge of primates, and they're like, I'm scared of them. The only interactions I've had, they've been close to ripping my face off.
Yeah,
I feel like this mirrors my own experience where like, again, I started this podcast and then I got a job at a lab working with primates hands-on. I was like, holy shit, these things are fucked up. And now I don't know, I'm doing a master's thesis on them, so that's
real shit.
real shit.
I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, so we'll just read the ending of this article. It says,
yeah, this is a pretty great little closing paragraph.
Yeah, want to read it?
I'll go. Yeah, this is a story with no bad guys, only good guys doing what they thought was best within the context of the time and their training. And for me, it's a story without the fairy tale ending of my childhood. Just a glimpse of a solitary monkey perched high atop a far-off mesquite tree, yearning either for the snowy heights of her ancestral stormy mountain or contented in the only home she'd ever known? The answer, I suppose, depends on who is telling the tale. Once again, you can find this article in the Texas Monthly by Sarah Bird. It's a great read. Please go check it out.
Sorry, Greg had to dip. He's been dealing with some stuff.
Greg's living his life, okay? Don't you mind him.
Don't you mind, Greg.
Don't you? He's got that big ass bald head. He's doing his own shit, okay?
He's in the studio. He's in the lab.
He's cooking.
He's cooking. But yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
As
you guys
always, you
for
can
listening.
find us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
As always, you can find us on Twitter at gorilla__radio. Still, because we're lazy and we will never change it.
We gotta find the
Instagram.
people who have the Gorilla Radio show or the
And
Gorilla
kill
Radio
them.
handle on Twitter and just fucking yank them.
Yeah.
Yank them off.
You know, make them log into their account, make them change it, then kill them.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just to fuck with them.
I've already mentioned a couple times. Join the Patreon. We're doing a lot of stuff on the Patreon these days.
Yeah.
It's pretty busy in there.
We're sending
Even
out the
just,
Polaroids finally. We're sending them out.
Polaroids are coming out. If you got an email from Austin or a message from Austin on Patreon or anything,
Please
make sure you
respond.
to that.
A lot of you have.
Send
but some of
Austin
you
your
haven't.
address.
Yeah, send me your address. Look, I can be trusted. I'm normal. I'm not going to do any crazy shit.
I'm not gonna send a parcel bomb.
I'm not. That was not even a consideration in my mind. Listen. It's fine. Just send it to me, or if you have a PO box, even better. Mm-hmm. Send it to your work. Send it to your work.
Yeah, you don't care if your work gets bombed.
No,
Not that we're gonna bomb anybody. Not that we're bombing anybody.
That's what we're not. We're sending you the Polaroid of pickles and bean sprout. Okay, just everyone chill out. All right, but thank you. Please subscribe to Patreon. We love money. Chandran's unemployed now.
Money.
We're all
have a job
all the
anymore.
time.
Woo.
But the money does help.
need it.
We're at a point where this money
It does.
is definitely like noticeably, materially helping me at least. So,
Mm-hmm. And if you're not aware, we donate 30% of our.
No, it's 10%.
10%. We donate 10% of our earnings on Patreon to various primate.
So right now it's
sanctuaries.
$40 a month because we're making $400 a month.
Woohoo! Who are we donating to right now, Austin? Is it still?
We're still doing the proboscis monkey sanctuary, but like we can always mix it up. There's no like.
You can always switch it up.
It's the mission of primate conservation is ongoing. You know,
It's never ending.
never ending.
It spans the globe.
So,
All right.
well,
Bye bye everybody.
bye bye.
Rate us, review us, recommend us to your friends.
Check us out on
See you around.
Twitch. Oh yeah, review us on
Oh,
Spotify.
Twitch.
Rate us on Spotify, motherfucker. We need more of those.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Yeah, all
rate
that
us.
stuff.
We
All
need
right.
that shit. Also, Austin's twitching a lot, streaming on Twitch a lot.
I'm streaming and
going
twitching.
crazy on there, almost every night.
I'm streaming and
Join the
twitching
community.
every night.
Woohoo.
All right. Good.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.